Hello, everyone, and welcome to Twillow Talk. We had some technical issues this evening, so we are a few minutes behind. So please thank you for your patience. And so it's been quite a week so far, and it's only Monday.
Right?
Well, let's count yesterday in that because quite a week. Those Schumann resonance. Anyway, I should take a step back. The Schumann resonance is probably why we're having technical issues. I'm Tanis Coughlin from the Twillow Lifestyle Community, Twillow Lifestyle Academy. I am a Celtic Shamanic High Priestess. I'm an intuitive energy healer, channel, galactic ambassador. I do stuff. And so does my beautiful co-host, Jennifer Jurkofsky. So welcome,
Hi,
Jen. Please let people know what we're doing here, or what you're doing.
Well, what we're dealing with.
Yeah. Well, what do you do first? And then we'll get into what we're dealing with.
On which level?
Yeah.
So I'm a registered psychotherapist. I'm a certified Canadian counselor. I am an intuitive life coach, and I do energy healing, Reiki master, and a whole bunch of other energy stuff. Hello, Gerald.
Hey, Gerald. Hello, Fogo Pogo.
Hello.
Thank you.
Where we're at. So, y'all may have been feeling over the last little bit a bit of, heaviness and stuff like that. And there is definitely some stuff going on in the energies in general. It's interesting. So, like, we're.
I'm just saying hello to Maruda. Sorry.
Yeah, no, it's good. It's good. I want to say hi too.
Hello, everyone.
But yeah, so we're getting ready to move into gate 15, and gate 15 is it's a really cool gate. It's actually the gate I have in my sun personality. It's the gate of love of humanity. Right? That's what it's really about, right? So it's this idea of, from the gene key side of things, we're looking at this idea of moving from, dullness to magnetism to fluorescence, right? And what does that really look like for us in our experience? Bless you. Right? And so
Excuse me.
this is a gate that's in our G center, our guidance center, which is about love and direction. And it's connected, if you have the channel, to the sacral, which is our vitality, right? So it's interesting because there's, when we're connected to the 5, there's this idea of like fixed rhythms and patterns and really kind of getting into the flow. But if you don't have that circuitry, then what ends up happening is there's a lot of this we want to get away from the dullness, right? That's the shadow side of it. We don't want to have this like kind of mundane experience. We want to be doing things and enjoying life and all of that kind of stuff, but we don't necessarily have a fixed way of navigating that or understanding how to navigate that. And so what we end up doing is trying to force things to happen, right? And so it's really, allowing that flow to come in and allowing things to be as they are and accepting things where they are, right? And not trying to escape boredom or escape dullness or, get away from that fear of rejection, but kind of just allowing things to ebb and flow in their natural patterns. We begin to move into this idea of connectedness, right? And so now instead of trying to force things, we're actually able to see the beauty in things, even the beauty in stillness and in sitting back and in taking that time and in allowing things to maybe not be that, constant of what we want it to be, whatever that means for each of us, right? Because that's going to be different. And then as we really, begin to hold that, that's where that gift of magnetism comes in, right? Because people are drawn to that and into that beauty that we're able to see in other people and in other things and all of that. And the more we embrace that, the more we move into fluorescence, right? This real like deep connectedness and love for humanity and love for life and love for all that is, part of being here in this experience, right? But it really takes a deep surrender to allowing things to be what they are as you move through that, right? And so that's the gate that we're coming into right now. So, and the only
Surrender is the key word.
it's always right. But
Let
I
go
bring it
and
up
flow.
because it's an experience I have on my day to day, whether it's in a transit or not. Is this, idea of, I don't have that sacral energy, so I don't have that fixed rhythm. And so I really have to be able to sit back and go, okay,
Mm-hmm.
now what? Right. And just allow things to have their flow and then step into that and find the beauty in the stillness, in the movement, and in the everything in between. Right.
Yeah, it doesn't feel like stillness right now.
Well, right now the energies are pretty wild, right?
Yeah.
Like you were talking about the Schumann resonance scale.
I
And
actually took a moment to pull that stuff up because I'm going to share the screen, guys, because this is like super intense. So first, I want to talk about Are you finished? Sorry, Jen. Did I interrupt you?
yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Can always be done. Okay.
Is there anything important though that we need to know? Anything else that's important that we need to move to?
No, we can move on.
I'm just excited because.
Yeah.
All right, I'm going to share the screen. All right. What I'm going to do, we talk a lot about the solar storms. So what I've done here is I've got this, I don't know, can you see you can see my thing there. So what I've done is pull up the solar weather live. So this is one of the things that I look at on a regular basis to get a feel for where we're at. So today, you'll see here we've had 2 M-class solar storms. So often we're getting C-class. That's pretty normal. It's very, that's kind of run of the mill. When we get up into M-class, that's quite a bit higher. You can see there's usually quite a few less than that. And we have in the past, you've probably heard me talk, if you're some of our regulars, about having X class, those are in the high level ones. Okay. So this is interesting today, but not outlandish for what we've been getting. What I want to share is this. So we talk about the Schumann resonance scale. So the Schumann resonance measures the vibrational frequency of the earth. So the vibrational frequency of the earth is basically, it's connected to our frequency, right? So as it raises, so do we. So normally we have this type of a configuration. This is still really high with all of this green, but it's not abnormal for us to see this kind of thing. We've had this kind of thing now for a while. So the standard, what our baseline frequency for the earth is 7.8 hertz. You'll see here, this is 8. So like this line here is pretty standard. We should be getting something in around that range on a regular basis. That's kind of normal for us. Okay. When we start getting all of this, we know that we're getting a fair bit. But even this is only up to the 20 some. It's only measuring to 40. So we did have a few little spikes there. That was on the 17th. So keep in mind the times are along the bottom here. You'll see here. But these times are, this is one from in Russia. Okay. So the times are a little different than depending on where you're at. So here, look at this huge change. And all of a sudden we're seeing symbiotic. Is that the word I'm looking for? The symbiotic change in frequency. So what I mean by that is when we have, when you have sand and you put frequency under sand, it changes the vibration of the sand and it creates these beautiful sacred geometry patterns. That's what I'm talking about. So what we're seeing here is those kinds of patterns in the Schumann resonance meter. So we have sacred geometry, tons of it in here. So the one thing that we're not sure about in terms of this particular thing, I've never seen this. And from what I've heard, I don't know that it's ever happened. So we're not sure what this is. It could be an anomaly with the machine. So we are acknowledging that. But it could also be an indication that we are making a jump to a higher frequency in terms of the collective. Okay. So I just wanted to bring that forward, because these are the kinds of things that I sort of take a look at and kind of figure out. So when I'm not feeling super awesome, I'm like, okay, I'm going to check the Schumann. I'm going to check the solar storms and those kinds of things. So sometimes the solar storms are an indicator because they do affect the Schumann resonance, but this is not affected. Like, this doesn't appear to be related to solar storms this time. There's lots of things that will affect this. One of the biggest ones lately has been these solar storms, because we've had solar storms that are like X-class storms, and they bump against the earth. I'm sure you guys have heard me talk about that. They bump against the earth and create a little spike in this. So when we're seeing that, we're seeing this kind of thing, and then there might be like a bigger spike up in here sort of thing that we'd see, but nothing like this. So this is like quite an anomaly in what created this. I will say again, though, we're not sure. So this could just be, an instrumental malfunction. Either way, I'm choosing to look at it as like a good sign, because it could just be a message from the universe that would be just letting us know we're on the right track. And I'm getting chills when I say that. And so that's what I'm going with. We were talking about this earlier, right, Jen? It doesn't feel like a bad, like it feels like an awesome thing. It doesn't feel like a bad thing at all, no matter what's
Well, and I
creating it.
mean, even if it is an anomaly that happened with the machine, right? If you think about it, like you were talking about before, right? It goes from
Yeah.
this blue to the green to the yellow, and then like we're getting into that white. If you look at what that's resonating at, right? That is very possible that would throw the machine off.
Mm-hmm.
Right? I mean, there's been stuff that's been shutting the machine down lately, right?
Exactly.
But definitely understanding that vibrations and vibrational frequencies do make different shapes, right? And they bring
Mm-hmm.
about these different shapes.
Yeah.
And so even just looking at it, right, I would be curious if we were to actually put that into shape, what that would look like, right? Because even just looking at it, like I can identify different geometrical shapes that those could be in sacred geometry, right? So as we're looking
Absolutely.
at it, even if even if it is just a malfunctioning machine, it's beautiful to have this idea of having that sacred geometry and what it means for us, and being able to kind of take that as we move forward in even just in the transits that we're moving into in this love for humanity,
Exactly.
right? And being able to take some of these things like the flower of life and um you know, some of those other ones, and just kind of look at it and go like, you know what? Like, yeah, I want to bring that love into my experience, and I want to be able to feel that, right? And I want to be able to hold that like in my Merkaba, because it looks like certain aspects of that are in there, right? And
Mm-hmm.
64 tetrahedron, like they're all kind of like you can see the aspects of them. And so taking those messages, regardless of how they got there, is not a bad thing.
Yeah. Absolutely. So stop sharing now. So I
Mhm.
just wanted to share that with you guys, because I just think it's so cool that
Yeah.
that's happening. So how do they measure the Schumann resonance? It's like scientific equipment. It's in hertz usually, uh,
Mhm.
but as far as the exact way they do it, I'm not sure, Gerald. But these are they're pretty standard graphs, and it's not just this place that actually measures them. Like NASA will measure them as well. Like there's all places
Mhm.
all over the world that actually measure them. This was just sort of an anomaly that I brought forward. So I just think it's cool. And when I feel into it, it feels exciting. It doesn't feel scary or anything like that. It feels really exciting. So that's why I'm choosing to take it as a good sign. And the
Yeah.
beauty of the sacred geometry that's in it is, like, if it was an anomaly. So the other thing that happens if it's way off the scale, when they do this, we often have like a blackout. We'll get like all of that equipment will go down. So that's why this is so unique. And so I thought I would bring it to the show today just because I think it's cool.
So this is probably something I should like ask my dad about on the whole like electrical side of things and measuring those kind
Yeah.
of waves and stuff like that. Because if you think about it, right, like we've got the poles, and there's this like magnetic
Hmm.
between them, and so if this is measuring those kind of frequencies, of those magnets and how they're moving and how they're interacting and what's going on, right? It means that like Gaia herself is going, whew, there's something happening, right? And
She
there's
is. She is. And everybody that I've heard, like all of the people that I follow, that are prominent and all of this, that are channels and all of that, everybody is saying, like we're in this huge like window right now. And the
Mhm.
next 4 days, you may notice some physical symptoms. I know myself, I've been like really sore for like a week. I think there's, that's an indication there's stuff moving around right in my body and whatnot, because they are actually like, it's restructuring how we run our energy through our body. And so we're bound to have those kinds of things. But when it's really, oh, we've got Maruda. Maybe she's going to help us out with that. Oh, here, wait, there. The sensors used to measure Schumann resonance typically consist of 2 horizontal magnetic inductive coils for measuring the north and south,
Mhm.
and east-west components of the magnetic field, and a vertical electric dipole antenna for measuring the vertical component of the electrical field. Thank you. That's awesome.
Mhm.
That's great. Thank you, Maruda. That's great. So yes, so I just think there's going to be a lot happening in the next few days. So just kind of hold on to your hats and lots of grounding. We need to
Yeah.
really kind of allow that energy to flow. So, that's what I'm working on, is because I've had the physical stuff. I'm really working on kind of like grounding the energy, making sure I'm visualizing it flowing through, making sure that I'm, keeping the energy field clear, all of that kind of stuff. So, that's what that would be
Mhm.
one of the best ways. And drinking lots of water.
Lots of water.
Yeah, to flush, right? Because when
Well,
stuff
and
gets caught,
also
it needs
water
fluid.
conducts energy,
Exactly.
right? So it's an important component. And it's interesting too, right? Like we talk about self-compassion and we talk about giving ourselves grace and things like that. And I think that it is a really important piece too. Like yesterday, I remember the night before feeling like, okay, things are heavy right now, right? And so just deciding, okay, it's time, we've got to take it easy, right? And so making
Yeah,
space for that and not trying to push it and allowing for it made it easier to navigate. Whereas, if you're still trying to push through and do and all, it's not going to work, right?
right. Yeah. Yeah. Gerald says, hydrate, hydrate, hydrate. Sip, sip. Gerald, sip, sip. Yes.
Yeah, and
Yeah,
it's such a
resistance. It's when we resist it, right, that we end up with stuff.
Mhm.
Oh, I've actually been more successful dehydrating, but that's how the world works. People think they're right. Okay.
All right. Whatever
Everybody's
works
different.
for you.
Everybody's different too, right? So, everybody's body
Yeah, but
processes
we're
energy
made
different.
of
And
a lot of water,
yeah,
and we
we're like
need to have
80% water. So,
yeah, yeah.
yeah.
And so we sometimes feel good with things being a certain way, and there's a lot of reasons for that. Our
Mhm.
patterns, maybe we need to, take that time, but, on the on the general, keeping yourself hydrated is not a bad thing.
Well, and I think, where depending on where you are in the world too, like it's summer here. So for us, we're going to get dehydrated really quickly. Um, on the other end of the world, maybe not as quickly because you guys are heading into, I guess you're in fall, winter kind of thing. So yeah,
Yeah.
so electricity travels through water. Exactly.
Exactly,
Yeah.
exactly, and so when we do any kind of energy medicine work, brain gym work, any of that kind of stuff, one of the first and last things you do with any of those practices is drink water,
Hmm.
right?
Yeah.
And that's part of opening to the healing process and solidifying the healing process, right? And so it definitely has its place. And I know
It
not
does.
everybody
Yeah.
likes water, and that is a
Well,
thing
it's
too.
fluid, right? Non-carb, not caffeine fluid like coffee, but like fluid. So if you're not a big water fan, putting fruit or whatever in it, and make lemonade. That can still hydrate. So, yeah. So we have a lot happening, folks. We've
There's
taken
a
up half
lot
the show
happening.
doing that. Yeah. So as per our usual shtick, we pick a card and we have a convo about it. So let's do that.
Let's
Here's
do
our
it.
card deck by James Van Praagh. We use a Soul's Journey. So let's see what the guides have to say today. Are we excited to pick a card? The guides are laughing here behind me. I can feel them. It's funny. Well, this is perfect, as it usually is. Empathy. Empathy.
Wonderful.
And it says, I am open to seeing both sides of a situation. Pretty perfect. Empathy, I am open to seeing both sides of a situation.
Nice.
And look at that mandala. Very root chakra. It's actually very connecting, right? Because this is like purple for the crown, and then we've got root chakra for red, right? So what an awesome combo. Just connecting, which is really what we need to do, right? Hello, Ocean Garnet. Thank you for joining us.
Hello.
Yes, we're going to insert a fan thwarp to show excitement for the cards.
I love it.
Awesome. Hello, Nathan. Thank you for joining us. Here we are.
Hello.
So.
Yeah, that card fan is awesome, Gerald. I'll give you that. I have a fan somewhere. It's right over there. That's not.
I need one of those. We have our crowns, but I need a fan now because it would be useful too, right?
Yeah.
Heading into that stage in life. Hello, Sham. Thank you for joining us. Thank you, Ocean Garnet. Nice to see you.
Yeah. I mean, empathy is such a beautiful thing too, right? And when we're talking about this, even just what? A fan club.
It's a fan club, exactly.
Right. The last time we wanted pictures of everybody with their crowns, we'll have to have a
fan day next time Gerald's on.
Yeah.
If you guys are wondering what we're talking about with the crowns, check last week's episode of Twillow Talk. We had Gerald on as a guest, which we're always thrilled to have. And we did a special crown broadcast, so that was fun. So
yeah.
Awesome. Sorry, Jen, what were you saying about empathy? Is that what you were saying?
I
was distracted. We have awesome people on today. I'm just having a chat. No,
it's great. It's great. Yeah. I'm all for saying hi to everybody. Yeah. It's funny. We, being sensitive in whatever way that looks like for you, right? That empathy piece, or that being able to see things from, another person's perspective, or being able to feel something from another perspective. Like, it's such a huge thing. Go ahead, put them up.
Absolutely, Gerald. You know those crowns we used to make when we were kids? Those are awesome. We could do that. And then we have here Pogo. I'm sad too that we don't have an emoji for fans. Can we put in a word somewhere about that? I think that
I'm sure we should be able to put it.
I'm sure. Yeah. Let's hope so.
Yeah.
We got Nathan smiling. Oh, there's a Pride fan, someone's saying.
Okay.
All right, cool. Yep.
It just keeps saying Pride fan rainbow open, so
that's what we see. But I think that's because we're in restream.
Maybe that was the emoji, but I'm just seeing it as it's saying the words over and over.
I think it's because so we're restream, guys, so it doesn't show up on ours, unfortunately. But I hope you guys that are on YouTube are seeing that. That's awesome.
Mm-hmm.
If you aren't, go over to Twillow Lifestyle YouTube. That's where these people are hanging out, I believe, or else they're on Jen's YouTube, but they are on YouTube. I can see that.
Yeah, so that will work, and you could go and check it out that way. And while you're there, subscribe, right? Okay.
Exactly. Yeah, like and subscribe. That would be lovely. You like that? I don't have the little signs like Gerald does, but
I know.
we can ask. Oh, nope, that didn't work either, Gerald. See, we just get this. Yeah, we do get the smiley faces and stuff, but I'm not sure that it seems like the ones that are not as used or something.
Oh, okay. So other people are seeing them. That's good.
Oh, okay.
It's
Well,
just
that's
us,
good.
we just can't.
We just can't see them here.
No,
Too bad.
that's okay.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah, I'm not quite sure. I'm not the techie girl, so I'm not sure, why some can see them and some can't. But
Yeah.
oh, so here's a question about the tiaras and crowns for Gerald. Gerald, how many tiaras or crowns do you own, please? I have 2. That's what mine is.
Mm-hmm. I had a bunch.
I have them here still, actually,
Oh,
from the past shows. What have we got? We have this one.
Mm-hmm.
That's one. Oh, you just sent me a screenshot. Okay, cool. I'll check that out. Thank you. And then I have this one. This is the one I wore last week.
Very nice.
Yeah, those are mine. And we did have somebody send us a picture of their crown last week.
Yay.
Mm-hmm. Where are we here? Oh, awesome. Okay, cool. Here, I'll share the screen. Here's what we're missing. There we go. See? Right here we got
yeah.
fans.
Very cool.
Beautiful. Gerald's response, I don't own enough of them. I need to get more when the Schumann resonance goes wonky.
There you go. It's time, Gerald.
It's time.
Go get more.
Or make one, like you said. Right?
Mm-hmm.
Yep. That's awesome. All right. So empathy. So yeah, I'm pretty sure most of those people on here are empaths, just saying. We definitely are.
Mm-hmm.
For those that aren't, just to give you sort of an idea of what that means, it is basically when we feel other people's emotions, right? Or when we can put ourselves in the place of somebody else and we feel empathy for that person. That's empathy. So empathy is putting yourself in the position of the other person so that you can understand what they're feeling in this situation. Mm-hmm. So I guess Gerald just got his response from his partner. 4 fascinators, 2 crowns, and 3 tiaras.
Nice.
Perfect. So, yes. Yeah. So, who's an empath? Let's put that out there. Who's an empath here? Who actually feels other people's emotions? Yeah. Mm-hmm. Let us know if you're an empath. And that means feeling other people's emotions, right? As well as your own.
Yeah, those are the ones he knew about.
I think he's referring to the tiaras and crowns on that.
Like, yeah, I know.
Yeah. No, I know. Yeah, I'm just letting other people know. Yeah.
Oh.
Pogo says, yes, me, definitely. Mm-hmm. Facebook user says, yes. Ocean mm-hmm. Garnet. Yep, could be me too. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And
This
so
would
one of
be
the
easier.
things I work with clients for too, especially when I'm working with people who, highly sensitive and things like that, where we
Mhm.
really feel into others' feelings, right? Is how do we navigate that in a real day-to-day kind of experience, right?
Yeah, for sure.
There's the number of people that I've talked to who feel like, sometimes in their regular lives, they're just going nuts because of all of the different things that are constantly flowing through them. And it's like, okay, this, could be a condition, but it could also just be, a highly sensitive empath. Right? So let's
Exactly.
feel into it. Let's explore it. Let's see what's actually going on here so that we can see the best way to help navigate that.
Mhm.
Right? Because it is so important as an empath to be able to discern what's ours and what isn't ours.
Just like Gerald just said.
Yes, exactly.
Exactly. And how do we
Exactly.
discern that? That's a huge question, right?
Yeah.
So I know there's uh, lots of different techniques, but I knew,
Mhm.
yes,
Yeah.
yeah. I think that's very, very common for us empaths, Ocean, that
Mhm.
we like get really invested because we feel it all. So, the intensity of emotions. I remember, I've always been an empath, and I remember being a kid and, you get told you're too emotional or whatever, but you're like, I always said to them, like, do you think I want to feel this way? I don't. I don't
Mhm.
want to be this upset, but it would be the emotion. And I think that doing things like the tubing and all that stuff, that's one way of doing, like, getting the distance. So I don't know whether you guys are familiar with that. We do a short little one, and it might be a good thing to do today on here. So if you guys want to do this, it's a tubing. I've done it on other shows, but we'll do it again. It only takes a minute, if that's okay, Jen.
Of course.
Yeah. So it's an archangel tubing. So just as if you want to participate, go right ahead. I'm just gonna have you close your eyes, and I want you to feel the energy around you, and that means like feeling what's going on here, right, in your space. And then what I want you to do is just repeat after me. Okay. So what we're doing is we're bringing a big tube of light down around us. So you may feel different sensations as we do this, and just see what happens for you. Okay. If it's too much, make sure you're putting your grounding cord down. So imagining roots coming down through your feet, down into the earth, wrapping around a big rock or tree root, going all the way down to the crystalline core, wrapping around the crystalline core. Okay. That's also a great empath technique too, right? Because we can release excess energy down into the earth. Okay. Um, so, tubing. So close your eyes.
Mhm.
Just repeat after me, please. Archangel Michael,
Archangel Michael,
Archangel Gabriel,
Archangel Gabriel,
Archangel Uriel,
Archangel Uriel,
and Archangel Raphael.
and Archangel Raphael.
If it's appropriate,
If it's appropriate,
for as long as it's appropriate,
for as long as it's appropriate,
please tube me.
please tube me.
And just see how that feels. Because that is a great way to just feel your own emotions. Okay. So you're not being bombarded by everybody else's. I do it when I go out of the house. I do it 2 or 3 times a day. It should last about 12 hours usually. But, if you're going out, I do it again just to be safe. So, what have we got going on here? So, it's definitely the hardest thing to learn. Yes, definitely. Um, Agreed. And then this is, I believe, Shem. Neither do I want to feel that way. Yes, I have been since a child, for sure. And then Gerald says, I never learned to say to somebody that they are too emotional. Emotions are a gift that need to be understood, especially as children. Yes.
Mhm.
Yeah, definitely. But I think in fairness too, people that might have said that to me, that we didn't have the same kind of knowledge that we have now about what it means. And, you know, the terminology that we use now is very different from what it was when when I was little. I'm not telling you how long that was ago, but you get the gist. I said something about, you know, needing a fan. So so yeah. But the, you know, the empath thing, feeling others' emotions, there's also the physical empath, which takes it a step further, where you're actually feeling each other's aches and pains. And so that's just another layer of it. So how is everyone doing with the tubing there? If you joined us for that, because oftentimes we feel a change in temperature, change in air pressure, those kinds of things, because it's like a suction tube almost. So we sometimes will feel lighter after. Are you frozen, Jeff? Oh, you're just thinking.
No, I'm just listening.
We were on earlier and there was freezing happening, so we just
Yeah.
So
But
what do you tell your clients?
Yeah, some things that, you know, we really look at are, you know, did the emotion come on really fast?
Mm.
Did it come out of nowhere? Right? Were you fine and then all of a sudden you were feeling a certain way? Right? Did, you know, is the mind scrambling to try to put a narrative to it? Right?
Yeah.
Because these are all key signs that it might not actually be yours.
Mm-hmm.
Right?
Exactly.
Right. So I know I use the example of, I'll keep practicing my hands felt tingly. Nice.
Yeah, the tingly is the energy as it comes down.
Mhm.
And then we have this one. My usual head pressure, but it's comforting. Yeah, some people feel like it's like almost like a blanket. They're wrapped in a blanket.
Mhm.
And Maruda. I always just saw it as being compassionate, putting yourself in another's place so you can feel how they're feeling. Yeah, I mean, I think that is compassion for sure.
Yeah.
What's the difference then? What do you guys think the difference is between compassion and empathy? It's an
Yeah.
interesting question, right?
Mhm. Yeah, well,
Do
I
you
mean,
have the
for me,
therapeutic term?
yeah, you know, compassion is when you feel, you know, for another person's experience, right? And you want to be able to support in whatever way is needed. Whereas empathy is you feel another
Yeah,
person's experience.
yeah,
Right? And the thing is, you know, we think, you know, empathy, oh, it's so beautiful, it's so wonderful, but empathy can be really hard because, you know, sometimes compassion is way better. Right?
oh
Because
yeah,
because you've got to think, right? Like if you're going through something, right, and I'm compassionate about it, I understand and I give you grace and I give you that ability to be wherever it is you need to be, right? To go through what you're going through, and maybe I'll come and sit with you, and maybe, you know, whatever that looks like. Um, with empathy, maybe I'm feeling what you're feeling, and I don't like that feeling, right? And so we have to be really mindful when that comes up for us that we're not trying to fix it because we don't like the feeling.
Well, and isn't that why a lot of empaths fall into that thing of trying to the hero complex thing, right? We try to save. Um, so you know, good motto: support, not save.
Yeah, it's a huge one. And so, you know, and the other piece too is sometimes as an empath, you're given an understanding or an insight into somebody else's experience, and you're not necessarily meant to do anything with it.
Mm-hmm.
And that's really hard,
Mm-hmm.
right? To feel something and to know that there's something there and to hold space for it, but not necessarily being supposed to say anything about it. Right? And so, you know, as an empath, there's a lot more that we have to be really, really mindful of in our experiences.
Mm-hmm.
Right? And we have to be so careful not to put our own narratives to those experiences.
It's true, because it's not our experience. So putting
Mhm.
our narrative is a moot point because we can't change it. We can't change how somebody else is feeling. right? They have to be that person.
Yeah.
So that's important. If it makes me feel uncomfortable, don't try to fix it. It's not mine.
Yeah.
Our emotions can make us uncomfortable as well. But if we're not getting a trigger for anything for us, that's when
It's
it's somebody
different.
else's,
It's
right?
different though, right? Like you are, excited to go out with a friend and you go out and the friend gets a message on their phone and all of a sudden they're really upset. And they're like, I got to go to the washroom. And they go. And all of a sudden you're like upset
Yeah.
and angry and frustrated. And you don't know why, right? And you have to be really careful in that moment because if you allow the mind to put a narrative to it, you might put a narrative to it that doesn't apply at all, right?
Yeah.
And so the friend might come back and you're like, what's wrong with you? Why are you in a bad mood? Or, we need to do something to cheer this up, or, right? Like just noticing those kind of responses that can come out of us when we're uncomfortable and the narratives that are coming to us based on our own triggers, our own insecurities, our own stuff, right? As opposed to, hey,
Yeah.
you got that message and I felt a shift. Is everything okay? Do you want
Right.
to talk about it? Do you want to just have like fun? What do you want to do right now? Right? It's a very different way of showing up. We acknowledge that, yeah, that feeling happened. I felt it and there was something there.
Mhm.
Right? But it's not ours to decide what we're going to do with it.
Yeah. So it's always like, how can I support you right now?
Mm-hmm.
What do you
Yeah.
feel? Like, because
Yeah.
that's not something, because everybody feels differently when they're like that, like that the fix or what they need is different.
Mhm.
So,
Yeah. And
so
if
we have a couple of great
okay, I'll
questions here too.
leave
So Ming says, for healers, is it better to be in a state of compassion instead of empathy, or do some healers like to feel a client so they can support their healing? So that would be an individual healer question, I think. I think for me, so what I often do is that I turn it up so that I can see what's going on, and then I turn it down. And that was something I started early on in my practice. So I envision almost like a tuning knob on a radio or a volume, right? And I sort of turn it up a little bit and I feel into it, and then I'm like, okay, and then I turn it down. So it's almost like tapping into it and then coming back out.
Mhm.
So yes, the
She
cat has
really
something to say about
does seem to
this.
have
She
something
really
to say
does.
because she is like right here.
Yeah.
Hello, everybody. What do you got to say, baby? I'm feeling it too, Mom. I feel it too. Okay.
She's supporting somebody.
Yep, she was there to say hi to somebody.
Absolutely.
Mm. Yeah.
So Maruda says she hates that statement with, why can't you just?
Oh,
Yeah.
yeah.
That's kind of those responses, right? One of those ones
Mhm.
that's like, that's your own stuff coming in the way of your response.
Yeah. Well, and even that piece, though, going back really quick about the compassion and empathy, right? I think that with compassion, we have to recognize, or with empathy, we still have to have compassion.
Yes,
Right? But we can have
indeed.
compassion without empathy. So it's that kind of
Yeah,
like, if you put it in that,
in that
you can have
context.
one without the other, but you really have to make sure that you still have compassion when you have empathy, because if you don't, you can get caught up in your own stuff,
Right.
right?
Yes. And that's where you get the narratives,
Yeah.
right? And Gerald says, narratives can suck for sure.
Oh yeah.
For sure.
Oh yeah.
And
And they're patterned, right? We get caught up in them and we're so used to them. Like we've conditioned ourselves to have these narratives in our mind and these beliefs. And until we get to that place of going, oh, there's that narrative again. Okay, that doesn't actually serve me right now. Right? What do I want to do different?
mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, sometimes it does feel like someone dumped a bucket of emotions on you. I was going to
Yeah.
say this earlier, and then I don't know what happened. I got distracted, or I don't know anything. But I've used this example with clients before too. Have you ever gone, grocery shopping, right? And you walk down an aisle, and all of a sudden you're sad.
Mm.
Well, cereal didn't do anything to you. Why the hell are you sad? It was cereal.
Are you sure Those Lucky Charms, I don't think they're all that lucky.
Right? And then you keep going, and then maybe there's a woman who's kind of sitting off to the side at her cart, and she's a little sad, and you go, oh,
Yeah.
okay. And you keep going. All of a sudden, you're really angry, right? And there's an employee throwing a box around, and you're just like, oh, maybe that's what it is, right? But as long as you stay open and curious about the emotions that are coming at you, then you don't have to own them, and you don't have to start putting the narratives to them. Right? But if you walk down that aisle and you go sad, oh, I'm sad, right? That moment we own it,
Yes.
right, is when it becomes ours. Oh, I'm so sad. Oh. And then the mind goes, yeah, you're sad. When that friend said that thing to you, man, that was so mean, and I can't believe they did that, and that was really sad, and maybe you guys aren't going to be friends anymore, and the narratives just go, right?
Mm-hmm.
And
Our
so
brains are
really
so good
even how we talk about emotions is so important.
Mm-hmm.
Right? Oh, there's sadness. Okay, I feel it. There it is. There's some sadness there. Not I am sad.
Right.
Right? There's a big difference in the way that those two experiences show up.
Absolutely.
Mm-hmm.
Gerald has a question for you.
Okay, how does human design impact our experiences with empathy? Really interesting.
Mhm.
So some people will say that open solar plexus is a huge empathic gate, but there are definitely people who have a defined solar plexus, like Tanis, who also have empathy, right? But one thing to know is that if you do have an open or an undefined solar plexus, then you tend to mirror or reflect and amplify emotions around you, right? So I don't know if you've ever had that experience where, somebody gets upset with you, you're way more upset at them. Right? Somebody gets angry at you and, oh man, you're tearing down the walls. You are so much more angry at them. Right? And so that's that amplification almost to the point of distortion. And so when we talk about empathy, right? Like the 22nd gate is also, part of that kind of feeling into the feels of others, right? But there's this kind of component here where you got to go like, take that deep breath, let it out, and then sit back and go, like I was saying earlier, okay, sadness. Okay, there it is. I feel it. What do I want to do with it? Right? And maybe I am walking through the grocery store and I don't want to feel these feels right now.
Mhm.
Okay, I'm not intercessory for this right now. I'm not going to let that happen. Right? I can acknowledge that it's there and it can be there for whoever it needs to be there for. But I got to get my groceries done.
Exactly. Sending
Right.
love and light. We're sending them love and light if they're willing and open to receive.
Yeah. Right. And so, yeah, that I don't know if when you say, oh, that's what that is, exactly what you're referring to. But if it's that solar plexus piece, then that definitely is a thing. I mean, I remember, so bringing in Enneagram stuff too. I'm an Enneagram type 8, the boss, right?
You're the
Big,
boss? I thought I was
big,
the boss.
no, not like that.
I'm
But
kidding.
like
But
very
he's
kind of like, having to stand up for the underdog, always having to be there. A lot of times they're activists and things like that, but like total mush on the inside.
Yeah.
Right? And so, I remember even growing up, like if somebody was angry, I was livid.
Yeah.
Like I remember even as a kid walking in my room and being like, I want to just trash it. And the only thing that stopped me is the fact that I didn't feel like cleaning it up after. But like every part of me wanted to just, right? You know, you guys are killing me.
This was with a clarification for the that's what
Yeah.
that is I
I
never
never
thought there
thought
was
there
a
was a
possibility
possibility of
for
amplifying.
amplifying.
There is a total possibility of amplifying. And anybody who has an open solar plexus has to be really mindful of amplifying those emotions.
Yes.
Right? Other centers are going to be amplifying different stuff, but that's the emotional piece. And so, I think that we need to be really mindful if, all of a sudden we get into this.
Oh, here's the next one.
Like, you guys are killing me. the thought. This is great. I love it. And I'm so not here, so it's like it's coming in and it's like, "Choo, choo, pew."
We're making her do mind gymnastics today, that's what we're doing. She's multidimensional, and she's, like, halfway through, and then we're halfway up there and
It's
not so much
okay.
down here. Yeah,
Yeah, it's
it's fun to
okay.
watch.
But, yeah, we definitely can do that, right? And we also have different filters that we feel emotions through,
Mhm,
depending on what's defined in our design. And so noting those patterns and knowing how they show up for us can be really beneficial too, because then we can go, "Oh, yeah, right? I'm feeling alone again. That loneliness,
mhm.
that aloneness is so heavy for me. All right, yeah, that's because I'm filtering it, right? And this is what it feels like, and that's what's going on." And then we're not as attached to it in that way,
Yeah,
right? And we begin to recognize, like, okay, yeah, there's that feeling again. And with that feeling, there's always kind of a message, right? So what's going on for me? What's going on around me? What am I allowing to kind of impact what's going on in the moment? Right. And so bringing it back to that kind of empathic connection piece, if you know that you feel into things, even if you're not with somebody, if you're close to them, right? Or if you have some kind of connection with them, you can sometimes easily feel them,
yeah,
right? And so knowing that that's something that happens in your experience, it allows you to just take that step back. And then when an emotion comes in, you go, oh, again, it's that observation. It's so important,
mhm.
right? Not, oh, I'm sad again. Oh, there's sadness again. Okay. What's going on?
It's just a
Right?
guidepost, right, of what's happening, the emotion.
Exactly.
Yeah,
Exactly. And so, and I know I talked about this on other shows, right? But the roomy guest house, right? All of these emotions, they come in as messengers, right? And so we have to really, we don't want to, we don't want to keep the messenger there all the time. And we don't want to shoo the messenger away because he's just going to keep coming back. Right? So we have to allow that message to come in and then get whatever experience we have to get from it and then allow it to go.
yeah, exactly.
Right?
And yes, Gerald,
Yes.
definitely it's another tool that we have to support ourselves.
Yes.
Mhm.
Yeah. And so, um, one of the things I say about human design that I think is so vitally important, and I know Tanis, you and I have talked about this before, is it's almost like it gives us permission to be who we knew we were all along.
Yes.
Right?
Yes, it really helps you to understand those things, like, you think you're struggling with something, and that it's, why are you like this? Like, why do I have to do this? Why do I have to do this way? Well,
Mhm.
and then you realize your human design is why, and that's just it's who you are, and it's quite liberating in terms of, "Okay, so if that's who I am, then that's something I can accept,"
Mhm.
rather than always wondering, why?" And it's a big question we ask ourselves, right?
Yeah. Yeah. And it's such an amazing thing too, right? If you really want to dig deeper, especially on the spiritual journey side of things, bringing in the gene keys, then with that and doing, like I talk about, like this gate 15 right now that we're moving into, moving from dullness to magnetism to fluorescence and what that looks like, right? And
Mhm.
how we actually feel that in our experience and really sitting and contemplating that and spending time with it can also be very opening for us to recognize like, okay, yeah, this shadow aspect is there, and it's okay that it's there, right? We
That's
always
right.
talk about like, "Oh, I have to overcome my shadow." No, the shadow is just part of this experience,
Yeah.
right? But if we can, and I I think, it's interesting what's coming now. Okay, yes, yes. So this
People are
idea
listening.
of like, you know, a lot of times with empathy, we connect in with somebody when they've gone into their shadow piece. Right?
Mhm.
And then the shadow gets scary for us, and we don't like how that feels. And so then we try to get out of that, or we try to figure out how to navigate out of that as opposed to just saying, "Hey, okay, what am I supposed to get from this shadow experience in this moment? And what is the gift that this can move into? And how do we do that? And what does that look like?" Right? And then for the other person, holding space for that journey as opposed to just trying to push them into that place. right? It's such an important piece.
Yeah.
Being able to, going back to even that, talk with Gerald, not this last time, but the one before, holding space, right? And
Yeah,
that,
exactly.
ability to really allow somebody to be where they are. I remember walking into a room one time, you're talking about the physical empath, and my hip gave out. And I was like,
Mhm.
"What is wrong? Like, why can't I walk?" Right?
Yep.
And then sure enough, I found out that the person I was in the room with was going to be having hip surgery, and this was going on, and that was going on, and I was like, "Okay, I get it, I understand." And then I was able to just, allow the experience until it passed, and then I could continue on,
Yeah.
right? But
It's quite intense when you're a physical empath, like, when you do as and you can tell what's going on with somebody. I think, in many ways, I think that for me, it's helpful, to have that as part of my experience, as long as I can control when I feel it. 'Cause,
yeah, and
there's a
we
high
can't
propensity.
always.
No, exactly, we can't always.
Mhm.
No, but
Yeah.
here's a message from Ming. Is the human design survey accurate, even if you don't know the time of birth?
It's fairly accurate. If you look at the way that the transits move, right? Each each one is there for a certain period of time, right? So the lines of it might not be exactly accurate, but for the most part, the chart itself doesn't change too much within a day. So what we would normally do with that is we would sit together and actually run a couple different times. And we would take a look at them and take a look at what's different between them if there is something. And then you can feel into that to see what really resonates for you. And then that's the one we would go with.
Mhm. Yeah, awesome.
Mhm. And to the other comment about locking the door,
Yeah,
that was great. No, it doesn't help either.
it doesn't. They're
But
just gonna keep knocking.
Yeah,
Absolutely, they're just gonna keep knocking.
yeah,
Awesome.
yeah. But again, holding space for yourself in that experience is also really important as an empath,
Mhm.
right? And I say it on so many different levels with a ton of different issues, but open and curious. It's like my
Exactly.
mantra, open and curious, right? Because
Yeah,
the more we can stay open and curious, the more we can recognize, is this mine? Is this not mine? Where did this come from? Did it just come out of nowhere? Has this been brewing for a little while? Oh, whenever I'm with this person, I feel this way. When I'm with that person, I feel that way. What's happening? What's going on there? What's getting triggered inside of me,
yeah,
right? We get all of that when we're open and curious.
exactly. I heard an analogy one time about, like, changing altitudes. So, when we're too into it, we're, like, overwhelmed with it
Mhm,
all and all of that, or we're stuck in the drama triangle, like we've talked before, drama triangle being you're playing one of 3 roles: hero, victim, or villain.
mhm.
When we're, like, stuck in there, we can't see our way out of it sometimes. It's like you can't see the forest for the trees. But if you can actually lift yourself out of that, so bring yourself to a higher altitude, then you can start to do the observing and not be so caught up in the weeds of the whole situation. So,
Yeah. Oh, and
for
it's such
sure.
an important thing too, right? Like, I think it was Albert Einstein that had the quote, right? Like, you can't solve a problem on the same level of thinking that created the problem,
Right.
right?
You
And
have
it's
to
that
pull
same
yourself to a different altitude.
same idea, right? Like, you have to do something different for something different to happen, right? And so whether it's a different altitude or a different outlook, it's really important.
Mhm. For sure.
Yeah.
For sure. Well, I don't know where the time went, but we have
Yeah.
amen, Albert was correct. Absolutely.
Yep.
And so Ming is married to an Albert. So that was where my head went first. I'm like, is Albert correct, Ming?
Mhm.
Oh, Maruda says she has 2 crowns. Actually,
Tiara.
tiaras. Sent pics. Awesome.
Ooh, yay!
Awesome. Awesome.
We'll have
Thank
to take a
you.
look at those.
We'll have to put those up. Did you send
Mhm.
it just now? Not here. No. Okay.
Mhm.
We'll find them next week or something. We'll put them up.
Mhm.
Awesome. Well, I can't believe it's been an hour already. the time flies
It
when
really
we're on here
does.
with all of you. So it's such an honor always
Mhm.
to have you all. And we thank you so much for sharing your energy with us today. And yeah. Empathy. Time to support each other, right?
Mhm.
We're just here to support each other. The time has been adjusted. It probably has. So time is a human construct.
Mhm.
And you know what? We're all struggling with it now. Well, I am anyways. Absolutely, time is a changing. And
Mhm.
yeah, so Ocean says, yeah, wow, it sure did. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Thank you for the lovely conversation. Thank you. Thank
Thank
you for
you. Thank
joining
you all for
us.
being on with us and for all of the comments and everything. They're always so wonderful to have.
Absolutely. It's so
Mhm.
great. It's really it's awesome when we have questions and stuff to
Mhm.
speak to, or when we can share, when we're sharing comments and stuff
Yeah, and
back and
hearing
forth.
how you guys experience these things too. It's just
Absolutely.
yeah.
Absolutely. Thank you all. Lots of lovely thank yous. So we're sending you all so much love and light, and ground, drink water, all that beautiful stuff. Use the tubing if you need it. And we're wishing you all a wonderful week. We do have a few things happening this week. So we have just started doing chair yoga on Sunday
yeah.
mornings at 9:30. So if you're interested in that, we're going to put that up again. We're switching how we're doing it. We're going to do it every week, so rather than a 6-week one. So we'll be putting that up. Watch for that at twillowlifestyle.ca. The other thing is we have an awesome workshop coming up this weekend that is I'm doing it with Michelle Marie, and it's all about your galactic lineage. So she's going to actually tell each person what their past lives what their past galactic lives are about in starseeds. And I'm going to do a talk about the all of the different starseed races, and well, not all, of course, there's thousands, but some of the main ones that are here on Earth.
Some of the main ones.
Yeah, and so that's going to be a great one coming up.
Mhm.
What am I missing? I'm missing something else this weekend. Maybe not this weekend. Anyway, stay tuned to the website, twillowlifestyle.ca, on the events and workshops page. Lots of stuff coming up. We've got some fun stuff over the summer. And I loved our cozy afternoon.
Mhm.
Awesome. And we shall see you all next week on Twillow Talk. And I'm Tanis Coughlin from Twillow Lifestyle Community, Twillow Lifestyle Academy. And you can find us at these links along the bottom. Jen?
Yeah. I love it. I love that those links are down there, and I think it's hilarious that I didn't realize it because it was small on my screen.
And Jen, you can find Jen on My Holistic Self.
Yes, myholisticself.com, myholisticselfcounseling.com, or at Holistic Self Counseling on Facebook.
And with Twillow Lifestyle.
And of
Anyway,
course,
she's also with us too. So you can find her on all of those places. And we're sending you all tons of love, and have an awesome week, everybody. We're looking forward to seeing you back again next week. Take care. Lots of love.